She got your mind off of it, doesn't she?
It's that those abs. Time for the good news, the bad news, and the other shit. Wow, good news, bad news, other shit. I'm telling you guys. Well, I don't have to tell you. You know, every day is a day of new challenges, and lately it's been some scary stuff. It's been scary because while the president seems to be adjusting into the job, things are happening, and you're entering a time of great crisis. So the scariest part is that one thing that is clear is right now the president is the commander-in-chief of the U.S. military. That means if he has a bad day, shit could happen. So I'm one of those people who actually would like to see right now less antagonistic. Okay, I'm serious. I would like to see less antagonistic media reports on the president. I would okay. Now, I'm going to tell you why. I'm saying right now, let's focus on all the other events. Let's focus on Texas. Let's try hard as we can not to agitate the president.
Right.
Because he's got his finger on the button. I don't want him pissed off. Melania, whatever you have to do. Whatever you have to do, Melania. Everybody do whatever they had to do to make the president happy. And as much of a leftist as I am, because I am concerned about the people who are going to die, if any kind of military conflict of any size over there goes down, you got a bunch of people in South, just from conventional weapons, Vic, not just from the regular old everyday shit, 300,000 dead.
Are you assuming that he's not pissed off? Or are you just...
Who, which one?
That's my
Kim
point.
Jong-un or the President Trump?
Wait a minute. Does it matter if either one of them are pissed off?
No, but one of the reports I put out there, and I put it out there on Facebook, is that the North Koreans are kind of confused. I guess because Trump is so crazy. First of all, you have to understand, the president in the midst of the North Korean crisis verbally chastised the South Koreans.
Yeah.
So in the midst of a damn near nuclear crisis, he chooses to insult the people that are on his side. So people are confused. They say that they don't understand the president. He's probably just scaring them because, it's just so much irrational behavior.
And they weren't getting the irrational behavior prior to this. They were getting organized thoughts and proper.
There's no good. Well, so that's where we are. There's no good ups. Okay, even if they don't hit the U.S., they probably most certainly can hit Japan.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Now Guam, I hate to sound bad about it. It's a military base, but
Yeah.
Some stuff is smaller. Japan is a whole,
Mm-hmm.
And that would also cause the U.S. to turn Pyongyang into a parking lot, which is going to kill a bunch of Koreans, they're already oppressed, and half of them don't know it because of the control that they have over the media and the kind. So all bad, you guys. They say, from everything that I've read, there is no military solution that anyone wants because the casualties are too high. That's part of the reason why the South Koreans don't want to do it, because it's their casualties. They're the ones who are going to die. Just the minute everybody right across the border, they just fire off the regular rockets.
Right.
Boom, and that's 200,000 dead right there.
Yeah. So the solution is now the easiest path to victory, right? And remember what we call it. Most people call it collateral damage. I call it collateral acceptance.
And the part of the reason I'm scared is you don't have people in the cabinet there who are policy people, really. You have military people who typically their point is they're not politicians.
They've always
tell us who to kill and we go kill them. We don't do policy.
Right.
So you got military people doing policy, which sounds bad.
Yes.
And you don't have any. You need some other minds in there.
Right.
So the president's going to be getting military advice from Steve Bannon.
So let me ask you this.
That's why I'm scared. People don't mess with the president right now.
Isn't it? So what we're saying, the toleration is we would actually deal better with the greed of trying to make a lot of money from a lot of the people that were in his cabinet. We'll take that over the thought of what could happen when you get a lot of military, what we call decision makers around you. You look at Kushner, you look at Manafort, you look at them and say, we could tolerate the bad business and the profiteering if that's what they're doing. We don't know. Rather than the alternative of focusing on something like this is a little bit more dangerous.
Totally. And I'm sure people like John McCain are talking behind the scenes about how to remove the president, because I know they have absolutely no faith in his leadership. And now you have an international crisis where there's no one in the cabinet there to help with policy.
Right.
There's no thinkers, you guys. You have to have people who are thinking. Mm-hmm. That's why you have negotiations, because you have people there who are good at negotiating. Right. In that void that you have in the cabinet, you don't have anyone there who's a thinker, who's good at negotiating. So who do you use to talk to the North Koreans? You're at a loss, and it makes us have to deal with the fact that we're in a bad position. That's why I don't want people messing with the president right now. I actually want him in a good state, because I don't want him to get pissed off and start World War III. I don't want him to start World War III. So that's that.
Yeah.
In Texas, estimates up to $180 billion.
Yeah.
And that's why this week's appropriation of around $8 billion seems like a drop in the bucket. If the estimated cost by every expert, see, this shows you again the lack of strategic planning. Even though some things are better, they've learned some things, obviously from Hurricane Katrina, but some things are bad. That if you're going to give $8 billion to something that you think is going to cost $180 billion. How about $50 billion to start off?
It's leverage time.
I'm just saying, how about $50 billion? I mean, it's estimates, we going to go way over that. I don't understand where they know the other ones cost $120 billion, $150 billion. This was supposed to be more. So then I don't understand to get stuff rolling. And you got years involved. That means the sooner you get rolling, the better. Mm-hmm. That means hiring people, infrastructure, getting the professionals on the job. It was $180 billion. Why isn't it $100 billion?
Leveraging political policy right now. Oh, who do you think has the advantage now? Donald Trump. This is where you want to see politics at its favorite? Watch what happens during this period of time.
That's what you're going to get to see already so much. And meanwhile, the media trying so hard to show positives. See, that's the part. Mm-hmm. If that's a spin, you guys, we can debate the reasons. But if you may have noticed, the media is doing everything they can to show you positive moments, people coming together, kumbaya.
Right.
Which is wonderful.
Right.
Not taking anything away from that. They're showing you what the average everyday citizens are doing. That takes away from showing you what the government is not doing. Mm-hmm. They're doing a bunch of things, but that's a drop in the bucket of what's needed. Even Honore, the general who handled the Katrina thing, said, you needed to get it going a lot faster. We should know by now. We should know by now what to do, and that's why $8 billion to start out on something that's estimated to cost $180 billion, they're already screwing you.
Yes.
They're already screwing you. And selling it to you like that's a grand effort. That they're rushing to get you $8 billion of something that's expected to cost $180 billion. They're rushing. That's the bullshit. That's the hype. So let's watch and see what happens. In the meantime, supposedly the chemical plant, the main one we have been watching, has burned itself out. But you have so many chemicals in the places in that area. We brought that up, that in Houston, where they don't have zoning laws for essentially,
Right.
that you have a bunch of plants and things built very close to communities. Guess what? Duh. Communities of color.
Right.
Or people who are not they're certainly not putting in the rich ones, even though developers once again built some fancy developments in those floodplains.
Right.
They knew those places are going to flood. In other words, you knew it was going to flood how often in 20 years.
Right.
But they built, so no zoning laws allowed you to build in those places. You're going to find out that the governor was personally involved in some of these things, also personally involved with with writing the laws that said that they don't have to disclose what these plants are doing.
Right.
Supposedly an effort to shield it from terrorism. That was their thing. They said, well, we don't want to let you know what the plants are making because then terrorists will know what to attack. See the bullshit? Okay, so the governor, who we all feel so much for because he's in the wheelchair, looks to be just another sellout asshole who's in a wheelchair. Okay. So don't give him a break because he's in the wheelchair. I was too. We're all looking at him all as wonderful, the man's in the wheelchair. Don't give him a break. He's an asshole in a wheelchair, okay? So, and he sold out people. So the wheelchair experience didn't teach him that.
So, what was not just learned, but applied post-Katrina with all the knowledge that they learned as a result of what happened there and now transferable because it's in the Gulf?
I saw some. They had, what they did do was try to tie together local efforts. It's the coordination of efforts, Vic,
Right.
that you need to do between the local, the military support, because you need to have someone taking an overall look at the picture. Before you had that, but since you didn't have any infrastructure, just because you look at it, you had these recommendations of the military, that doesn't mean we as the city are going to do any of that.
Right.
So now you have a better coordination of efforts.
True.
Okay, to get things underway between the military. So that was there.
Right.
Better communication. But you should have a national communications network set up for disasters with a whole infrastructure. This is what you should. This is what I said, Vic. You should have had all the top minds get together and come up with worst case scenarios for the whole country. What are the top 20 things that could go bad?
Right.
All over the country, and develop contingency plans for those as a start. With a goal being that the more places you identify with problems,
Right.
that you would develop the same scenarios for everything and have those in a database with professionals running through how cost effective they are, the effects on the population. All of that stuff should be done proactively.
Right.
That's what I mean by an infrastructure. You pay for the professional people to do that thing. Should have been done. And then you would have had it kick into action now in Texas. Because it's going to flood again. But the other part of that that's not in the $180 billion is the $200 billion you need to spend along the whole Gulf Coast to improve the drainage, preparedness for the global warming, rising sea levels. A bunch of stuff's going to flood. So if you think, I'm just going to tell you, the $180 billion is just a start, because you got other disasters coming. In fact, you have another storm, hurricane, whatever's rated this morning, amassing Irma,
Irma?
coming at us again.
So let me just try to put what I call this. So the city planning and development, are we saying that they haven't looked, say, 10, 15, 20 years in the future? So what if these things happen? Should we set aside, and is it city planning or is it politicking?
It's politicking.
Okay, once the politics is thrown in, then you know you're not necessarily going to get the, well, what if happens? They're going to deal with money that immediately can be revenued as profit for the immediate, not the perspective of what can happen. Because every year they have a season.
Like I said, that's why if you had experts, right?
Right.
If you call in experts,
Right.
and tap into what they are thinking, That's what you think. You know how we approach
Right.
problems around here.
Right.
This is no different than what you and I do.
Right.
We identify the problems. We prioritize the problems.
Absolutely.
And we attack them in that order that we determine. We
Yep.
can change the order any time. And then we
try.
pay attention to what we
try, you
do.
guys. But, see,
This is the basic stuff you
I
do
just-
to manage stuff, Vic.
I think the part is it's acceptable, collateral acceptance, and I'm only saying that not to say that you should give up, but come on, Mario, we live in earthquake country, right?
Where earthquake regulations were changed many times because of cost.
That's right.
In other words, when they came out with the first list of recommendations, that was just dismissed as too costly.
Right.
Whenever you do that, you're just waiting on problems. In
Yes.
medicine, we know that thinking like that kills people.
Yeah,
That absolutely will kill people
Absolutely.
someday. Someone's going to die
true.
because of this lack of. But they already right. So as far as I know, and I don't have the specifics, but I remember the time I was watching it. The earthquake codes in Los Angeles specifically were relaxed 3 different times.
Yep, absolutely.
At least 3. It may have been more to allow for them to make it less and less costly. Wow. Everybody. That's the news. Everybody, that's the good news. That's the bad news. That's the other shit.